What up, team? Coach D here, and we just got done with a weekend full of squat clinics that went amazing. In that clinic, we showed you a few exercises that you could do before the workout to prime your body to get ready and have the best performance when it comes to squats and also lunges. So I'm going to walk you through these exercises so that you can see them in live time. When you go into class, come into the workout 5 minutes early or so, sit next to your machine or sit next to your floor station. And these are the exercises that you should be doing in order to get ready for squats or lunges. So we're going to begin with a 90-90 position for the hips and do some windshield wipers in between each side. So getting into the 90-90 position that we talk about all the time, you want your chest square to your front leg. One day you're going to be able to do this without your hands touching the floor, but you can always use your hand as an assist. Shoulders are level and parallel with your back leg, and you're going to lean into that stretch. Rather than making it passive before the workout, we always want to make it more dynamic and more of a tension builder. So lean into that stretch, apply tension, and really visualize and put the mind to muscle connection, driving your knee and your ankle into the floor. This is going to fire up the muscles of the hip in the most lengthened position. After I fire up that leg, you can also give the inner thigh a little bit of love by pretending that you're going to lift that leg off the ground. Now, most people won't be able to, but it will fire up those inner thigh muscles, so you can just hold and squeeze and intensify. Once you finish that, we're going to flow to the other side doing a few windshield wipers. So once you activate, drive, maybe lift, you don't have to, you're then going to put your hands behind you and flow and windshield wipe your knees left and right. Now, when you do this, you want to inhale as you bring them to the side, pause with your breath held, and then exhale and counter twist your body to the other direction. So if I inhale my legs to the right, fill my body with air, I pause, and then exhale and I release and I go deeper into that stretch. You should feel a beautiful stretch in the outside of your hips, in the low back, the torso, and in the other hip as well a little bit. Once you do this, maybe 4, 5, 10 times on each side, feeling it out, you're going to move on to the lizard with rotation, lizard hip opener. So really great stretch here. You're going to go into a kneeling position, knees at 90 degrees, and you're going to hinge forward from the hips and get that hip to drop to get the hip flexor a little bit of a stretch. Hands can go on the ground. From here, you can open up towards that leg, which is going to really fire up the left side of your hip as you rotate towards that thigh. If you want a deeper stretch, you can always spike through your back heel and lift that back leg off the ground and create one straight line. Real deep hip flexor stretch on this one. Once you rotate towards that thigh, go ahead and place your hand on your knee and give it a couple of hip opener wraparounds and just play around. What you're trying to do is you're trying to explore the ankle ranges of motion. See if you can draw the biggest circles all around with your leg bones and keep your foot flat on the floor, tripoded like we talked about in the clinic. Once you do that, you can really focus on the hip as well by opening that hip up. I always say, explore your body. Where do you feel tightest? Where do you feel like the place that needs more love? That's where you want to spend time. If you feel loosey-goosey, if it feels great, move on. You don't need to be there. So I'm exploring. One day to the next, my body is different. One side to the next, my body is different. So don't go into each side with any preconceived notions. Go into it in a more of an explorative mindset. I'm going to explore the body and feel what feels tight. Once I get both sides, making sure that I make it even on each side, I'm then going to go into the combat stretch for the ankles. One of the most elite ankle mobility exercises you can do. You want to line up your thigh in a one angle and your other toe in a 90-degree angle. So you're going into a 90-degree angle here. The closer your leg is to your heel, the more you're going to be able to stretch your ankle. The further you drop back, the more you're going to shift it into your inner thigh adductors, and then you might get a little bit of ankle. So we're going to focus on ankle by bringing our leg closer to our heel, creating a U with your hand, locking your U on your heel bone. That heel bone wants to lift, and our goal is to keep it flat. Once I create the tripod, once I create the short foot and activate the muscles of the foot, I then drive my knee in line with my pinky toe, straight forward. Big stretch on the Achilles tendon here, and I'm trying to create some space in that ankle joint. When we do this combat stretch, we talked about this in the clinic, where we're going to intensify by gripping the ground with your toes and squeezing. That's going to activate all of the muscles in the back of your leg. Activate, squeeze, and then lift the toes, or at least imagine. Intention is to lift the toes. Sometimes your toes might not move, but that's going to fire up the front of the shin and the front top of the foot. So after I press, after I lift, I release, and then I go back into it. And of course, I can explore left or right, forward or back, what feels tight. Get those ankles to get a little bit more movement before we go into squats, because we know that the ankles are a huge portion of why we can get low in a squat. After that, we're going to go into a slow-mo, full range of motion tension squat. You can use your machine and hold on to the seat. You can also be on the floor and go with your TRX. We're going to look to do a slow-mo, 10-second down, 10-second up tension squat. So I'm just going to hold the TRX for tension, put my feet hip-width apart, screw my feet into the floor, spreading the floor, making sure my knees track my toes, and I'm going to go 10 seconds down as slow as I can go. I'm going to notice where my hips try to shift left or right. I'm going to notice where my knees try to cave in. And as I go down, I'm going to notice if my heels try to come off the floor. I'm just assisting. I'm creating tension the entire time. Creating tension means I'm pushing into the floor with some intensity. I'm pushing my knees out, activating the outside of my hips. I have my quads and my hamstrings lowering my whole entire body weight. Once I get into the bottom, you can stay here and rock around, and you can go forward and back, and then you can come up for 10 seconds. Once you do that, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 times, you're really going to feel those legs ready for some work. You can also do this body weight, slow down, intensify, feel it. I'm probably going about twice too fast as I need to go. Once I'm here, elbows to the inner thighs and some rock arounds. Now, of course, this is going to be the advanced level. Not many people can get into this low, deep squat position, even if it means the TRX. So another thing you could do is you could slide yourself against a wall, booty against the wall, and you can go into a nice little foot, into a deep unloaded squat. So this would be where I would want to go if I'm against the wall, but I'm going to show you from the side view. Pulling your knees into your armpits and getting those legs to get into a position of what a deep squat would feel like. From there, I can open up my thighs, I can grab in a happy baby style, and I can play around, and I can just make sure that I spend a little bit more time with my knees and my hips and my ankles in that deep squat angled position. Now, if you are able to get into that deep squat, you can always go down, grab your feet, and do some hamstring flossers or some booty lift and drops to stretch the glutes. Play around in the deep squat. The longer you can do it, the better. And when you're watching your coach do the 90-second demo, what better time to find your TRX and to get into that deep squat position? Maybe I'm up off my heels and maybe I'm just playing around, but I'm getting my hips and my joints used to being in that position with a little bit of load on those joints. The only way we're going to get there and be able to stay there is if we work on it slowly throughout time. From there, we're going to do the 3-point wall sit activator. That's where we go into that wall sit. From here, the goal is not to bring your knees to 90 degrees like we ask. We're actually going to go just slightly above it. You want a slightly bigger angle in your knees to put a little more tension on the patella and keep it out of our glutes. We are then going to tripod, spread, activate, and I want you to stomp through the floor for 10 seconds, trying to intensify the muscle contraction in a non-moving position as much as possible. Once you do 10 seconds driving into the floor with your feet, put your hands on the outside of your knees and push against your hands for 10 seconds. That's going to activate the entire outside portion of your hips and legs. Same thing on the inside. Squeeze the legs together without letting the legs move. You're creating that signal from the brain to the muscles to tell them to fire with more muscle fibers than they would used to if there were no resistance. And then if you would like, you can do the last little finishing touches by going up into a calf raise and letting the lower leg get a little bit of squeeze and warm up there. So it's 10 seconds intensify, 10 seconds outside, 10 seconds inside, and then a nice little calf raise for 10 seconds. And then from there, your muscles and joints should be primed. You want to then send a signal that we're ready to go with some activating, it's called your central nervous system recruitment. What we're going to do is we're going to go 3 seconds super slow down. 1, 2, 3. And then on the way up, you want to use power. So whether you're jumping or whether you're coming up with some power, it should look like this. 3, 2, 1, power. Reload. 3, 2, 1, fast. You don't have to leave the ground. You want to send a signal of power. And then as we go right into our squats, as we go right into our warm-up, your legs should feel very nice going into that first squat, first lunge. So you can make that as long or as short as you want to. Work on the areas that you feel like your body needs it the most, and just see if you can see the changes in going into a squat workout cold or with this priming routine. Give it a shot. Let me know if you have any feedback. Let me know if you feel anything that you need to work on a little bit more that you don't know how to, and I can be there for you. I'm here for you. Have fun squatting.